Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode of the month. This is the series where I go through the month that was, and I look at the episodes of television that I really enjoyed and the things that I think just worked and were really interesting. So, a lot of good television in the month of October. There's some great things that were having their finales. There's some great things that were, starting up, especially in Apple. They had a really big presentation. I don't want presentation, but a big release schedule in October. But of course, it was also the time when Ted Lasso was ending. And of course, I had to talk about Ted Lasso again. I've done reviews for every episode of this season. I've talked extensively about this show. I don't know, maybe I've done the most thorough reviews on YouTube. I haven't really looked, but I've done a lot for this show. And I figured I wanted to talk about the character of Nate in some capacity, and I was like, where should I bring this up and how should I do it? A couple months ago, I did this kind of video for Roy Kent because that character's strong, and I figured the finale of Ted Lasso, it came out in October. It's incredible television, well written, super well acted. It's a great presentation from that show. So I figured it was going to be my episode of the month anyways, and instead of doing another recap and review of that show, which I've done a 23-minute video on the finale of Ted Lasso, instead I would focus on Nate Shelley because he is a very complex character. He's a very fascinating portrayal. I know there's people who don't like Nate because of the stuff he did in this season. And that is justifiable. I completely get why people are like, this character sucks, especially when you're watching a television show that is trying to be this uplifting message about positivity and support and getting the help you need in these situations. I also think that when you're doing something like that, where the message is so clear about the positivity, about the helping nature of people, that eventually when you are sticking so much like this kind attitude, you have to show the side effects of that and the bad-natured side of that thing. And I just feel like the Nate storyline perfectly exemplifies the opposite side of the positivity that's brought on, because Nate's characterization, I think, is a great escalation, and I think it's one of the best things that the show has done, and it's exemplified perfectly in the finale. So leading up to the finale, we know that Nate told Trent Krim about, the panic attacks that Ted was having, and basically we're watching this final episode just waiting for Nate to do the right thing. We're just like, this guy who we've seen throughout the first season and this season, he is struggling to be seen, to be heard, to be talked to, just to have his identity be known to the world. That's all he's wanted for the season. And throughout the second season, we saw him growing. The world has recognized his talent. He has earned his spot as one of the coaches. He has finally made his way up in this world. And now he's just like, everyone around me doesn't realize that I'm actually good at this. And when he's doing that, you just see Nate is good at this. He's a good coach. He is strong. He's understanding of the game more so than the care of the players, which is his downfall in the long run. But I just think in that final episode, you just see him I've earned this. I know what I'm doing. I'm very capable in this situation. I'm very good in this situation. I've made it here on my own with no help from anybody. Sure, I got a little boost from Ted, but then he left me and I had to fend for myself along this way. And I think that's an insanely cool thing to see. I also think it's more powerful than him being supportive in the end, where he sees the action of all the characters and he's like, why am I still getting underestimated in this world? Like when he kisses Keely and Roy doesn't do anything about it. He's just like, I forgive you, you messed up. It's like, no, you should see me as a rival, as a predator, somebody who could actually be fierce in this situation. And Nate just wants to be taken seriously throughout the season too. He's trying to get, the window seat at his favorite restaurant there, when he wants to get one of the coffee makers at one of, when all the players are getting the coffee maker and he can't take one. He wants to be taken seriously. He wants to have a seat at the table that's earned, and he has earned his spot there, but nobody else thinks he deserves to be there. And that's Nate's entire problem throughout there. And also the way he lashes out at everyone is very evocative of the way he was treated before. The cycle of bullying and victimizing. Nate is an example of how that affects people negatively. Instead of moving past that, he repeats the cycle. He goes back into those old habits of how he was, treated, and how he just treats people as exactly how he was treated too. And I think that makes sense. His character has never been somebody who has spoken his mind unless he is provoked. He is always somebody who is like, As soon as the opportunity arises for me to benefit myself, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say my words. But when it comes to actually, stepping up, being the bigger person, I don't do that. I wait till I'm provoked, and then I berate somebody. That has been Nate throughout the entirety of the show, and I just think Nick Mohammed portrays that perfectly. And I said this when I did my review too. It's hard to be that guy on a show like this, where you have to be the one who's going to be the villain per se. Rupert's his own kind of villain, but Nate's the one where he's making all the choices we don't want him to make, and the audience is not going to accept it. We're going to go against Nate throughout that. And the fact that Nick Mohammed said, no, I can do that. I can play that character, because nobody is going to expect him to be that guy. Everyone thinks Nate's going to be the sweet, soft person, but no, he is the one who has been hurt by everyone on the show. Everyone at some point has said something that hurts Nate. And now in the final moments of this character this season, he's like, yeah, I've earned my place, but nobody respects me still, so of course I'm going to go against you. That's what I've always done, and now that I have a position of power, I'm still going to do that thing and just play this into my hand. And I think that's great. I could do an entire, episode dedicated to that moment where he's talking to Ted, just like, you made me feel special. You brought me up like I was the only person in the world that mattered, and then you left me there and just moved on to the next thing. Again, Nate has been clinging on to some respect, especially in Ted, who was the first person that acknowledged him. So, of course, when Ted leaves him, theoretically leaves him, whether Ted left him or not could be up to debate, but when Ted leaves him, that is when Nate breaks down. That is when he goes, okay, I'm on my own. Everything I thought I had, I don't have. Nobody here truly respects me, so what am I going to do? What is the point of any of this? It looks like I'm going to have to fend for myself, and that means taking out the weeds. Ted, you hurt me, and you're bad at this. Everything you've done is a joke. The only reason you succeeded is because of me. You're really bad at being a coach in this league. You shouldn't even be here. And that is Nate throughout the entire show. Look at the way he just quickly berates the players in season 1. Look at the way he treats half the staff, half the people involved with him. Will in particular this season, you just see like Will's trying to be nice to him, but he just goes against Will. And it all culminates in this episode where Nate's just like, I'm done, okay? I'm clearly not the person you all think I am. And the fact that you won't accept me or respect me to be something that I actually am, it just pushes him over the edge. And when he walks off the stadium after they win using his play, I think we all know right there he's going down a dark path that he can't come back from. And maybe he will. Maybe we'll walk back those things a little bit. But I just think that is an incredible thing to do, is take the quiet character who has been victimized by everyone on the show, essentially, have him propped up to be the smartest, the kindest, most sincere person. And then when you have that, the world still doesn't think he is good enough to be where he is, so he lashes out in the way that he was lashed out at before. That is incredible, incredibly smart, and just so different than something you'd see in a show like this. You wouldn't expect Nate, that type of character of Nate, to be the character that goes, the heel turn, but it does, and it makes sense perfectly why it would be the Nate character, and Nick Mohammed just plays that perfectly. And I know it's a big statement, but I think you have to put this in the talking that Nate might be one of the best characters on Ted Lasso, just because it's the exact opposite of what people would want from that, and the fact that we hate him so much shows that Nick is doing a great job of portraying that character. And those final moments of him when he's on the West Ham field, it's fantastic. That is Darth Vader walking with the Imperial March. It is perfect. It is strong. It is the best episode of the month, and Nate Shelley is one of the best characters on Ted Lasso. So thank you guys for watching this episode of the month. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.